The kind of consistency that makes others uncomfortable isn't normal, and that's why you need it. Every habit system you've tried fights against how your brain actually works, which is why they all fail. Dōgen's principle of Gyoji, practice without gaps that continues itself, removes the fight completely. 5 concrete steps build this system, and it begins with understanding why motivation is your enemy, not your friend. Part 1. The written declaration. Negotiation is what happens at 5 a.m. when your alarm goes off. Your mind starts the conversation. Maybe just today, I'll skip. I'm really tired, I'll do double tomorrow. That internal negotiation is where consistency dies, because one voice always wins, and it's never the voice of discipline. A commitment device ends the conversation before it starts. Samurai understood this when they created keppen, vows written in their own blood. Sounds extreme until you understand the psychology. Your brain categorizes every commitment into 2 boxes, reversible and irreversible. Reversible commitments get negotiated. Irreversible ones just get done. When you write something in blood, seal it with your name, make it public, you've moved it to the irreversible box. Here's what happens when you declare something publicly. You finally have skin in the game. Everything worth doing in life requires skin in the game. Starting a business, you risk money. Getting married, you risk heartbreak. Public declaration means you risk something most people protect at all costs. Your reputation. Now, if you fail, everyone knows. That fear of public shame is more powerful than any motivation because it's primal. Our ancestors who lost standing in the tribe died. Your brain treats public failure as survival threat. Ichigo discovered this after 17 failed attempts at building a meditation practice. Smart programmer, successful career, but couldn't sit still for 20 minutes a day consistently. The pattern was always identical. Monday motivation, Wednesday negotiation, Friday capitulation, Sunday promises about next week. Then he learned about Jukai, how Zen monks make vows before their entire community. Not goals, not intentions, but public declarations of identity. The monks don't promise to try meditation, they declare themselves as people who meditate. The community witnesses it, the identity shifts, the negotiation ends. So Ichigo wrote down exactly what he would become. 20 minutes meditation every morning for 90 days, the length of a traditional Ango retreat. He signed it, posted it everywhere, told everyone who would listen. His girlfriend said he was being dramatic. His co-workers said he was trying too hard. Good. Every person who knew about it became fuel. Every morning when he wanted to quit, he thought about having to face them, having to admit he was just another guy who couldn't follow through. That social pressure lights a fire that motivation never could. When you tell nobody, you're only disappointing yourself, and you're already used to that. When you tell everyone, your ego won't let you fail. Pride becomes your ally instead of your enemy. The same force that makes you lie about your bench press now makes you show up every single day. Day 3, the test came. That 5 a.m. alarm, and immediately his mind started its usual routine. You're exhausted, this isn't healthy, one day won't matter. But something fundamental had changed. The thought of posting online that he'd failed after 3 days was unbearable. Having to look his girlfriend in the eye and admit he'd quit again. The declaration had made quitting more painful than continuing. But here's the problem. Even with all that social pressure, you're still fighting biology. Your body doesn't care about your reputation. It wants to sleep when it's tired. The declaration stops the negotiation, but you're still at war with yourself every morning. That's where Dōgen's second principle eliminates the biological fight completely by making the timing non-negotiable. Part 2. Fixed schedule. Every morning you waste mental energy on the same stupid question. When should I do this? Now or after breakfast? Morning or evening? This decision burns glucose in your brain that should be used for the actual practice. You're spending your fuel on deciding when to drive instead of driving. Dōgen created the Eihei Shingi, the monastic regulations for Eihei Temple. For over 800 years, monks have woken at exactly 3:30 a.m. Not 3:25, not 3:35. The same bell rings the same time every single day. 8 centuries of humans getting up at the exact same moment. You know what they never do? Lie in bed wondering if today they should sleep in. The question doesn't exist because the time doesn't change. Your brain has a simple rule. It stops questioning what never varies. When something happens at the same time every day, your nervous system shifts from conscious decision to automatic pattern. This isn't discipline, it's biology. Ichigo picked 5 a.m. for his meditation. Not because he's some morning person who loves sunrises. He picked 5 a.m. because the world is asleep. No texts, no emails, no distractions, no excuses. The time wasn't about optimization, it was about elimination. Eliminating every possible reason to do it later. First week was hell. His body fought him every morning. That's normal. Your body is a machine that runs on patterns and you're forcing it to build a new pattern. It rebels. Second week, something shifted. He'd wake up 2 minutes before his alarm. His body had started preparing for what it now expected. By day 14, his alarm went off and his feet hit the floor before his conscious mind even engaged. No thought, no decision, just movement. Here's what most people don't understand about fixed timing. It's not about finding the perfect time, it's about removing time as a variable. When you do something at different times every day, you're asking your brain to make a fresh decision each time. When the time is locked, your brain can't argue with a constant. It's like arguing with gravity. But Ichigo discovered a new problem. The time was fixed, but he kept changing what he did during that time. Some mornings meditation felt right. Other days he'd read instead, maybe some push-ups. His brain had found a new negotiation point. Instead of arguing about when, it started arguing about what. 20 minutes at 5 a.m. became reliable, but the practice itself was chaos. The fixed time had solved half the equation, but his mind was still finding gaps to negotiate through. He'd eliminated the when, but not the what. That's where Dōgen's teaching about forms becomes controversial because it demands you do the exact same thing every single day until your mind surrenders completely. Part 3. One form practice. You think variety keeps things interesting, but variety is actually where consistency goes to die. Every time you change what you're doing, your brain has to make micro decisions. Should I do push-ups or burpees today? Which book should I read? How long should I meditate? Each tiny decision is a crack where your old patterns seep back in. Dōgen taught that Shingi, forms, shape the mind through repetition, like shikantaza, which literally means just sitting. Not sitting and planning your day. Not sitting and solving problems. Just sitting. One form, no variation, no negotiation. When the form becomes automatic, the mind stops fighting because there's nothing left to fight about. This is universal truth in mastery. Talk to anyone who's reached the highest level in anything, jiu-jitsu, arm wrestling, piano. They'll tell you the same thing. Beginners want variety. Intermediates get lost in complexity. Masters return to basics and repeat them until they happen without thought. The greatest arm wrestler in the world still practices the same hook motion thousands of times. The jiu-jitsu legend still drills the same guard pass he learned on day one. Repetition isn't boring to them, it's the doorway to unconscious competence. So Ichigo locked it down completely. 20 push-ups, 10 minutes. Meditation, 10 minutes reading. Same order, same timer, same everything. His personal angle period. 90 days of identical practice. His friends called it robotic. His girlfriend said he was becoming boring. They didn't understand that boring was the entire point. Week 3, his mind went to war. Every morning it screamed for variety. This is stupid. You're not a robot. Mix it up or you'll burn out. Week 4, something broke. Not his discipline, his resistance. The negotiation voice got quieter. Week 6, he'd be halfway through his push-ups before he even realized he'd started. The practice was doing itself. This is what people don't understand about consistency. It's not about willpower lasting forever. It's about repetition until willpower isn't needed. Your body learns the sequence like a dancer learns choreography. Day 35, Ichigo got hit with the flu. Day 40, he was traveling for work. This is where his old pattern would kick in. Sick day equals rest day. Travel equals exception. This is where you've quit before, where everyone quits because perfect practice requires perfect conditions and perfect conditions don't exist. But Dōgen understood something about gaps that changes everything. He wrote that practice must continue without even a moment's gap, because in that gap, all your old patterns return. What saved Ichigo when everything went wrong was understanding that the practice doesn't require perfection, it requires continuity. Part 4. No gap practice. The all or nothing lie has killed more consistency than laziness ever could. You tell yourself, if I can't do the full 20 minutes, why bother doing anything? If I can't do perfect push-ups, I'll wait until tomorrow. This thinking creates gaps, and gaps are where your old self crawls back in. Every gap is an invitation for your weakness to return. Look at any elite athlete and you'll see something people misunderstand. They take rest days, but those rest days are still progress. They're intentional, strategic, planned. Never because they feel lazy, never because they don't want to train. A rest day allows them to train harder tomorrow. That's still movement toward the goal. But when you skip because you're tired, that's not rest, that's retreat. There's a massive difference between strategic recovery and giving up. A river never stops flowing. During drought, it might be a trickle, but it never stops. The moment it stops, it's not a river anymore, it's a memory of where water used to be. Your practice is the same. The moment you create a gap, you're not practicing anymore, you're someone who used to practice. Here's what most people get wrong. When something gets hard, they don't just stop, they switch. Can't maintain meditation? Try journaling. Journaling gets tough? Switch to cold showers. That's not movement, that's wandering. Movement is consistent toward a clear goal, even when the road isn't straight. The road has obstacles, people blocking you, detours that get you lost, but you keep moving toward the same destination. If you're just showing up without that clear target, you're going to waste years being mediocre at 20 things instead of exceptional at one. Travel day hit on day 40. Airport at 4 a.m., meetings all day, no hotel gym. Ichigo did push-ups in the airport bathroom. People looked at him like he'd lost his mind. Good. He meditated in an Uber. He read on the plane. None of it was perfect. All of it maintained momentum toward the same goal he declared 90 days ago. This is Gyoji, practice continuing itself. That's when people started noticing. His co-workers said he seemed different. His friends said he was becoming obsessive. Someone actually told him his discipline was unhealthy, that normal people don't act like this. When you hear those words, you know you're on the right path. Normal people get normal results. You're not trying to be normal, you're trying to be unbreakable. But here's what nobody prepares you for. The unexpected obstacles that you never saw coming. The things you can't plan for because you don't know they exist. Your kid gets sick, your car breaks down on the way to the gym, your boss keeps you late. These are the consistency killers because you haven't pre-decided how to handle them. Part 5. Pre-solved responses. Every time an unexpected obstacle appears, you have to make a decision under stress. That decision in that moment of chaos is where you'll choose the path of least resistance every single time. The obstacle wins because you're fighting a battle you didn't prepare for. Zen monasteries have operated for centuries without missing a single day of practice. Earthquakes, wars, famines, the practice continues. How? They don't make decisions when obstacles appear. The response already exists. When the meditation hall floods, they move to the dining hall. When the dining hall burns, they sit in the courtyard. There's no meeting, no discussion, no negotiation. The bell rings, the response is automatic. This isn't about being rigid, it's about removing decision fatigue when you're weakest. Ichigo wrote down every obstacle that had ever broken his consistency and pre-solved each one. Rain plan, push-ups in the garage, guests staying over, bathroom floor silent workout, hangover, which shouldn't happen, but if it does, 2 push-ups, 1-minute meditation, 1-page reading. Each scenario had its predetermined response. When X happens, I do Y. No thinking, no negotiating, just execution. The power of this isn't just maintaining the streak. It's that you stop wasting mental energy on decisions. Your brain knows that no matter what happens tomorrow, the practice continues. That certainty changes your entire nervous system. You stop treating consistency like a daily battle and start treating it like a fact of existence. Day 70. Ichigo's practice had become fully automatic. He'd wake up sometimes not even remembering doing his push-ups. His body just moved through the sequence like a programmed machine. His girlfriend's mom visited for a week. He did push-ups in the bathroom at 5 a.m. The practice continued because the responses were already written. Day 90, he completed his personal Ango, 3 months of unbroken practice. But something deeper had happened. He wasn't the same person anymore. His friends literally told him, "Your consistency is scary." His response was perfect. Good, because when your discipline makes others uncomfortable, you're finally operating at the right level. Your existence proves that everything they say is impossible is actually just uncomfortable. That's why they'll call you obsessive. That's why they'll say, you need balance. They need you to slow down so they can feel better about standing still. But you're not doing this for them. You're doing this because you've discovered the secret. Consistency isn't about doing something every day. It's about becoming someone who cannot do otherwise.